if you're Jack Dorsey and you're seeing people move towards this decentralized world, if you build it, they will come.
And he's been bullish on it for some time. Kim, let me just circle back to you. So when we look at the fintech performers, which have been tremendous, I mean, these are humongous market caps now. I think PayPal's like among the top 5 banking market caps, if you want to call it that, in the world. Are you concerned about that? Or like Sarah's saying, does that just tell us that these are where the flows are going?
I think that's what it tells us right now. The funny thing about all the crypto stuff is people don't actually use them to pay for transactions. This is about people buying them and waiting for the value to go up, right? So I think probably the biggest bit of information we're going to get in the next 5 years in this space is there an appetite for transactions? And if so, then somebody's going to make some money off of it. Is it the innovators or is it going to be the traditional banks? We won't know. But that's probably what I'm looking at the most is where are the transactions?
Right. And who's making the fees and then who's going to reap in the benefits in the very long run? Absolutely. All right. Let's move along. Talk about Apple employees reportedly up in arms over the company's remote work policies. According to The Verge, Apple workers claim that ever since the company said workers should be back in the office at least 3 days a week beginning in September, it's been harder than ever to get work from home requests approved. One employee even alleged their disability accommodation would be denied come September, and that could put their job status in jeopardy. And a recent internal survey found that more than 36% of Apple employees are concerned they'd have to leave the company altogether because of the lack of flexibility with remote work. As I mentioned, Robert Frank is here with us now, Robert, and we're seeing this battle play out in New York City between the big banks, for instance, where many want these workers back in the office but are aware, like we discussed yesterday, that high-paying jobs are on the offer remotely now more than ever.
Yeah, with Apple, they're already allowing hybrid. So they're allowing you to come in the office 3 days a week and be home the other 2. So that is a big improvement. And I think part of this has to do with housing prices and just the incredibly nightmarish commute that a lot of those Apple workers face pre-pandemic. 4 of the top 5 most expensive housing markets in the country are right around Cupertino in that part of the Bay Area. So I think a lot of these people probably moved during the pandemic, probably loved not having to commute. And now even the 2 days a week or 3 days a week that they would have to be there is tough for them. So I think Apple's being flexible, but I do think a lot of this is about what happened to housing prices. They've probably only gotten higher. The average home price there is over $2 million. So for a lot of those Apple employees, even the sort of mid to higher level executives, that's expensive.
Yeah. And so, Sarah, as we sort of listen to the different ways that people are battling with employees over coming back, there was one financial executive, I think it might have been the Cantor Fitzgerald CEO recently, who said, if you're that burned out, you need to look for a new job.
I mean, I don't disagree. If you're that burned out at your company, you should be able to go to your manager, talk about it, and find something that's suitable. But I think a big root of the Apple problem here is that there's such high demand right now for engineers, for people who work in technology. And so if your company is not accommodating you the way that you want, you can just leave. The demand for your skill set, if you're working in technology, is so high. Just go to one of Apple's competitors that is going to allow that hybrid work, Kelly. And Apple's competitors are all on top of it. Twitter, Facebook, you name it. They've all said that they were going to allow, I think it was expect up to 50% of their workers to be remote by 2025. They're going to allow a very flexible life. If Apple's not going to allow that, they should expect that some employees are not going to be happy with it.
All right, Kim?
Well, having started out as a software engineer, I feel their pain. But here's the true issue. If you allow people to decide where they want to live, you're going to have a much less productive workforce just because you have to have team meetings, you have to get people together. And if everybody's at home, that's one set of challenges, but they all are facing the same time kind of commitment. But having that hybrid workforce, it makes it really, really difficult. And I understand that people want to work from home, but life's funny, and companies are just going to have to get a handle on this and really try to discern who can work productively, what teams can work productively, and what ones need to be either all in or all out of the office.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a big divide between the sort of mantra that a lot of the financial world is taking about come back into the office, whereas in tech, Apple seems to be the outlier and basically not yet saying, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Speaking of, moving along to another candid tweet from Elon Musk, the Cybertruck, he said, yes, it could flop, but he said the risk is worth it because it's just such a different kind of truck than anybody else could make. To be frank, he says there's always some chance the Cybertruck will flop because it's so unlike anything else. He says, I don't care. I love it so much, even if others don't. Other trucks look like copies of the same thing, but Cybertruck looks like it was made by aliens from the future. I remember the 2019 debut was the sort of famous flop when a guy punched the window and then the glass broke. But I mean, Kim, you do have to love how they roll with it. The thing that a lot of people hated about this on Twitter is they said, listen, this guy just came out of a trial where he was charged with putting his own interests, ahead of the companies when it came to the Solar City acquisition, and he turns around and issues a tweet like this. What are your thoughts on Tesla?
Well, I think that's just how they roll, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they are one crazy company, and I don't ever want to own them when, things like this are happening. But gosh, doesn't it make watching them fun? And the other thing I have to say is, if anybody thinks this is a real truck that's going to start replacing the F-150, you are sadly mistaken. This is the people who want to look like they want to drive a truck in 2100, right? That's what they'll be driving. And those are the people who are going to buy that truck.
Robert, the interesting thing is, even while this is going on, he's sort of publicly stating something that a lot of other companies have run into real issues with. So Amazon's division Rivian just said, for instance, on the newswires this afternoon, that they're going to have to delay production on supply chain woes. Those are reports that we just saw from Bloomberg a few moments ago. Meanwhile, you have this total fiasco with Lordstown. We've seen Nikola and all the rest of it. So, this is an area where there's basically regulatory probes. And is his sort of candid take on it, you think, a way to actually fend that off by saying, listen, we don't know if it's going to work?
Yeah, kind of. And I also think it's sort of false humility. Look, the Cybertruck has already been a smashing, so to speak, success. And that's because of the marketing that they've got. They have something like 500,000 orders, but to get an order, you only had to put down $100. And it's kind of like the Roadster, which was announced in 2017, but have we seen it yet? No, we haven't even really seen what it's going to be. And there are a lot of orders for that, people putting down $100,000 or more. And so these are sort of small relative to the overall important models of Tesla. And whether they sell or not, whether they even go into production or not, kind of doesn't matter, because the aura that they've already gotten from the marketing of these vehicles is huge. And so I think it's already been a success. And anything they actually make, if they do, is a bonus.
Yeah. Sarah, to that point, Elon Musk himself said at his trial that his use of Twitter is successful advertising and marketing. He said it basically allows them to price Teslas cheaper because they don't have to spend the budget on advertising. And look what's happening today. How many times have people been talking about the Cybertruck since this tweet? The man is a single-handed marketing genius.
He absolutely is, Kelly. And we did at Axios a survey with the Harris poll earlier this year. We polled 100 companies for their reputation. Both Tesla and SpaceX were in the top 10. Now, that doesn't happen just by chance. It doesn't happen because consumers necessarily love the SpaceX product. It's because people love Elon Musk. They love what he did at SNL. They love who he is as a person. I definitely think it helps to push product.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.